This video is going to be about factoring by grouping, and I'm going to do two examples. Sometimes people call this method splitting down the middle. Split down the middle. And what this means is the first step that you take is to literally cut the polynomial into two pieces, dividing it down the middle. And once you've divided it down the middle, the next step is to use the greatest common factor to factor out whatever you can from each part. So factor using the GCF, and I'll show you what that looks like. On the left-hand side, I'm going to write a set of parentheses and ask myself what the greatest common factor is. Well, it looks like 2 and an x can go into both terms. 2x squared. I'll use the lowest factor of x. Lowest power of x, I mean. Then I'll divide 2x squared, my greatest common factor, out of both of those terms. So if I divide 2x squared out of x cubed, I get just an x. So that becomes that. And a 2x squared out of 8x squared is a negative, oops, let's go back to black here, negative 2. So that becomes that. So I've taken care of the left-hand side. Now I'll do the same on the right. Find a greatest common factor, this time of 10x minus 40. So 10 goes into 10x and into 40. So my greatest common factor is 10. Divide 10 out of 10x and I get an x. So that guy becomes that. And 10 out of 40 is 4, and it's negative 40 minus 40, so it'll be minus 4 inside the parentheses, and that term, negative 40, becomes 4. All right, so now I've factored both sides using the greatest common factor. I am going to notice that, oops, I'd made a mistake is what I'm going to notice. 2x goes into 8x 4 times, not 2 times. So now when I look at both sides of the equation, I notice that I have these two factors that are the same. I'm going to regroup. So I'm going to put those two factors together. They are going to become just x minus 4. In effect, I'm dividing an x minus 4 out of both sides of my polynomial. So my next step is to regroup. If you don't get that matching term, then this is not going to work, and you'll have to figure out another method. So I've got x minus 4 divided out. Let's see what's left over. Well, on the left-hand side, I've got this 2x squared. So let's write that in a set of parentheses, 2x squared. And on the left side, I've got a 10. So let's make this plus 10. And I'll close my parentheses. So what I've done is I've divided out an x minus 4 from both sides of my polynomial and then regrouped what was left, the 2x squared and the positive 10. And that's my answer. X minus 4 is one factor times 2x squared plus 10. Second factor. So not too bad. You split it down the middle, factor using the greatest common factor on both sides, and then regroup. Pretty easy. For these to work, you have to have 4 terms. So you need 4 terms, right, for this to work. And you have to get a matching factor. So you'll need a matching factor for regrouping. If you don't have both those things, then this method is not going to work. Let's take a look at another problem. X cubed minus 5x squared plus 2x minus 10. And once again, I'm going to do the same process. I'll split it down the middle. So literally cut this equation in half. And then I'm going to look for a greatest common factor on the left. Greatest common factor in this case is going to be x. They both have an x. The smallest power of x is 2. And then I'll divide an x squared out of both terms. So x squared goes into x cubed 1x time. X squared goes into 5x squared, negative 5 time, because I'm subtracting that 5x squared. On the other side of my polynomial, I'm going to get a greatest common factor of 2, because 2 goes into 2x and 2 goes into 10. Divide 2 out of 2x, and I've got just x left. Divide 2 out of negative 10, and I've got a negative 5. So hopefully I have a common factor, something that's matching on the left and the right-hand side, and I do, this x minus 5. So let's regroup. Put those x minus 5s together. So I'm dividing them out of both sides of my polynomial. Now let's see what's left. When I divide x minus 5 out of the left, I have x squared left over, right? This guy is here. X squared is left. On the right-hand side, I'm dividing the x minus 5 out. So this guy's over here, and I'm left with a plus 2. Alrighty, here's my final answer, x minus 5 and x squared plus 2. Now you probably are going to see examples where you can continue factoring. That's not the case in this one. I happen to be done. And in future videos I'll show you where you have to do multiple steps or multiple factorings. But we're good for now.